Good evening. So we have a few people in the chat. Glasgow Kiss, hi. Hope you're well. Today I'm not feeling very well. I think I have a bit of a dry cough, which is not a good sign. Hopefully you can all hear me in the chat. I hope you're well. Let me know if you can hear me. Everyone maintaining radio silence. Unless we have a very slow chat, which is sometimes the case. So just to give you an update on the situation here in Italy, we are under lockdown, as you know, but the lockdown today actually has increased, where recently it was high electronic. Until recently, we were allowed to move around our town. Spartafly, welcome. Eleanor, welcome. 17 views, good. So guys, remember to click like to get more people into the stream. That's great. So until recently it was possible to... He's got the virus gloves on. Your phones, cause you never know. Yes. Welcome, Killer. Sorry that I'm doing the stream a bit late. I had some technical problems before, and then I wasn't able to get my microphone working for some reason. So, but I'm here finally. I hope you're all well. Hi, Liam. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. So, just as some people are coming in, I just say that, so here in Italy, we're under complete lockdown. I know probably wherever you are in the world, you're probably under lockdown also. Unless you're near Witherspoon's pub, then I don't think that's under lockdown at the moment. Not yet, anyway. Brown Sugar, welcome. Corius 2.0, welcome. Hope you're well. You wonder where I was. I think Curious 2.0, I think we're probably on the same wavelength now, because Brexit is no longer our points of contention. So I think talking about viruses and stuff, I think we're all on the same page here. I'm critical infrastructure, so all well for me. Yes, the government has shut them down. So Witherspoon's is shut down also, because I saw the video of what's his name, Tim Martin, saying that he's not going to close, or he sees no point in closing. Hello, Robin. So today we received a message in the region where I live, near Venice, and they said they're going to increase the lockdown. So until recently, it was possible to go out, go for a walk, go for a jog if you wanted, without any real restrictions. But now you're allowed to walk about 200 meters from your home. And they're considering perhaps closing, this is just a rumor, but closing supermarkets, like they did in China, where you wouldn't actually be able to go to the supermarket. You'd actually have to order everything online from the supermarket. Now, I don't know how that would affect older people who maybe, are not used to using online services. But we will see. How have you been affected by the lockdown? And what about the situation in the UK? So I saw today that 80% of salaries will be covered by the government. That's great news if you're risking to lose your job. Now, I know some people who are self-employed will not be covered by that. But what about you guys? Have you been affected by that, or will you be affected by that, I should say? Last day pubs can be open, and small town has loads of folk out drinking. Get those carryouts, folks. As the shelves near empty at me, the shelves are almost empty. I wanted to actually go to my supermarket today to make a video to show you guys what it's like here. It's pretty much business as usual in the supermarket. Now they do limit the number of people who enter, but when you enter, the only thing that's really different is, and I may have said this in the last live stream, the only difference is that you see some marks on the floor which indicate how much distance you need to be between you and the next shopper, and the fact that the shelves are fully packed, and of course some of the staff walking around with masks on. Sir Antonius Block, yes, I'm a bit late this evening. I normally start an hour before, but this evening I had some problems. Government here is also supporting contract workers. That's good. Mark S. Where are you living, Mark? I work for a government department and I've been off for 7 days to self-isolate. I've been told that my colleague that I have to go back on Monday. We're taking work from London as they're closing down. I was feeling you might not be up to it, to doing it today. I would understand if you... No, I feel fine. I have a bit of a dry cough, a soft cough, a dry cough, but I'm feeling fine, I think. The 80% salary coverage from the UK government is well timed, as on Monday my boss got us all together to warn us we'll be shutting down for 1 month with zero pay in April. So very glad for the help. Yeah, that's good. Is there any word on how long it will go on for? Because they say 80% salary, but is it for 1 month, or is it for 2 months, 3 months, or for as long as it takes? I was looking on The Guardian, but I didn't actually see any reference to how long it would take, how long it would be available for. I saw a woman sneezing into her hand and then wiping it on the train seat next to typhoid Mary relative. I don't know if you guys saw the pic. There was a video on Twitter, I think it was, where was a drunk guy taking off his mask, licking his finger and then rubbing his finger on the bar that you hold on to on the tram or on the train. So government covers 80%, the business is covered the other 20%. Shelves are empty, Eleanor. No fruit and veg except pomegranates. No meat or eggs. News coming out of Italy is terrible. Stay safe. Amsterdam here. Yeah, I was expecting us to arrive at some sort of plateau, but it seems to be continually getting worse. 645, I think it was, died today in Italy. Most cases are in Lombardy. Now there is one positive sign, and I talked about it in one of the videos, how one of the towns, it's called Vaux, and it's actually quite close to where I live, and they tested everyone in the town. 3,200 people. You can imagine how the cost of doing that, but they said, look, we have to do it. They tested everyone. They found some people had symptoms. They completely isolated those people, and then they tested them again, all the town again, in a week or something like that, and they found 0 cases. So they were able to I think it's important for the testing that people are tested. If they show signs, they're immediately isolated and they're given treatment immediately, and that's able to, if it's caught early, they're able to reduce the deaths. So that's why sometimes you have big numbers of infected, but small numbers of deaths. But set no limit as yet, so time will tell for the payments. The word on the street is that this support is only for businesses that close as some will choose to stay open and trade takeaway. I used to cough I used to cough to cover my farts. So when you're in the lift, in the elevator, you you know which one to do. I follow you and a different bias. You guys make sense. Thanks a lot. Phil is really on the, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. I do my best, but he's professional now. He's also he's doing it full time. I don't do it full time. I'm still doing my own job, but he's doing it full time. So, as we say in Ireland, more power to him. Emergency service workers have no idea if they're infected. No test for us. That's, these are the people who should be tested first. Emergency workers. My own sister, she's a paramedic in Ireland, and I'm worried about her. And I assume that in Ireland, if they feel sick, they'll be tested straight away. Also because it's a stressful job, and there's higher possibility of getting infected because you're higher levels of stress, more workloads, and you're more likely to be immunely deficient at different times of the year. When the weather is changing, you're out and about all the time, so you're more susceptible to infections in general. So it's important that they get tested to see if they are actually infected or not. £15 for a pack of OXO cubes today. The stock market have went crazy. And toilet paper, how much is toilet paper going at the moment? What has also happened, our local shopkeepers are pushing lots of toilet roll and sanitizers and reselling them back to the public for sometimes quadruple the price. I've seen Dettol being sold for £20. That's disgraceful. Here I haven't seen any price increases. I haven't actually put diesel in my car for 2 weeks. I haven't been out so much, so I haven't even seen how much prices for petrol are at the moment, but I think they're down. But prices here haven't changed at all, so we're very fortunate about that. But it's disgraceful that there are shopkeepers reselling stuff. I saw on YouTube or on Twitter somebody selling, what was it? Was it the hand sanitizer in Boots for, maybe it wasn't Boots, I don't want to say Boots, but in some pharmacy for £25 or something like that. What do you think about the possibility of antibody tests? Yes, so that's very interesting. So the UK are working on developing antibody tests. I'm not very familiar with antibody tests, so that would be, I think we have to attack this virus on multiple fronts. Dealing with the illness directly with, curing people through traditional means, conventional means, I should say, not traditional. But also using any type of experimental drugs we can. Now, some people have said in the US, now Donald Trump may have been the one who started this one, but a rumor is that a type of asthma treatment has some positive effects. So I think we have to try everything. If some people are near to death, they should be given any possibility at all. It seems that the UK and US have a disaster at hand, as there is little testing in the beginning. The discrepancy between casualties and infection numbers hint at that it might explode there. Yeah, I think it's very worrying because the UK is on a higher trajectory in one of the graphs I've seen than Italy is. So the numbers at the moment are quite low, but the direction that the UK is going in is very worrying. Because in Italy it exploded really, it exploded, and for a few weeks there were very few cases, and then suddenly we had a huge number of cases, and the Italian medical system, the healthcare system, is collapsing in Lombardy, and they're desperate at the moment because they're not able to bury the people. They have to cremate them, and the crematoria are running 24/7. Pack of 4 toilet rolls for a tenner. They should be all exposed. Yeah, 10. Like, how much does it normally cost? 4 toilet rolls, probably like £2 or something. Or if you go to Lidl, it's probably £1.50 or something like that. Some shops near me, the smaller local ones, are only selling toilet rolls in singles. Glasgow Kiss. And what would be the next stage? You go in and you ask for, okay, can I have 25 sheets? I was planning on having a curry tonight. Can I have an extra few? Suddenly the working class realize a shallow, populist comedic clown is not what they want at the helm. Some people are talking about how Boris may not actually be around very soon. Maybe he's not cut out for the task. Hearing a malaria drug is having success in beating the virus. It was on the Pac-Man show. That's interesting. So yeah, it's another example of another way of attacking it. I think it's important that these are backed up by science. A lot of people are putting out a lot of different ideas. No one knows when or if the thing will be under control. So the government payment of 80% of wages seems extremely generous, especially when they cannot even leave home. Won't peak until next winter. I'm selling dime bags of hand sanitizer. The beaches in Florida are still packed, and I saw this ridiculous video of the people, the teenagers, young people, talking about their holidays in spring break. Yeah, we're having a great time. Corona, well, if I get it, I get it. If I die, I die. It's unbelievable. The beaches are full. And what is a big problem in Florida? You have a huge elderly population. People go there to retire. So you have young people who are mixing without any controls, probably getting infected. And then they're, spending time probably near older people who live there. And it's a recipe for disaster. I'd be so valuable to it'd be valuable, Robert says, valuable to see the data. It's not easy to compare one country response to the other without it. Yeah, there are so many different variables. For example, in Italy there's a huge older population. Also in Italy we have a lot of infection between family members, so a lot of younger people live at home with their parents, so they're infecting their parents or grandparents, while that's not really the case in the UK. You don't have that many younger people living at home. And Italians tend to stay in the same town, so they don't know, when people eventually move out of their parents' home, they normally live in the same town. So there's, in a way, that affects the infection. You how can I say? You stay within your own group in a sense, and you don't actually. I'm not making any sense tonight. Maybe it's the virus is affecting me. But you know what I'm talking about. You maintain the virus in that area, which may be a positive thing to help the limit of the spread, while people in the UK are much more on the move. Had a video come through WhatsApp saying to get your weed supplies up, it's going to be long. I spent a week from Spain trying to convince my UK friends and family to stay at home. It's literally exhausting me. So many people still aren't convinced it's a problem. And I think the government isn't helping in the UK recently when they left pubs and restaurants open. asking people, look, please don't go. People, if the pub is open, people will go. Because the mentality is, I'll be fine, or they'll be fine. You know, I won't touch anyone, or I'll keep a bit clear, or I'll wash my hands when I get home. That's the sort of attitude people have, and that's not sufficient. The head of the Red Cross, the Chinese Red Cross, was here in Italy today or yesterday, and he was in Lombardy, and he was telling the people in Milan, you're not doing enough. You have a lockdown, but there's still public transport operating. Give Max some love and click like, people. Yes, please do. Thank you, Sir Antonius. Teens are invincible, just ask one. Yes. But he was, the head of the Red Cross was saying, in Italy, you're not doing enough. Everyone should be wearing a mask. Everyone should be in their homes. Any food that's coming into your home should be via a courier, should be, brought directly from the restaurant or brought from the supermarket by one person, not individuals going to the supermarket. And I can understand that, but I think there are a lot of problems associated with that, for example, for older people, as I said before. Welcome everyone who's just joined the stream. I hope you're all well. Hope you're not infected. If you are, remember to keep 1 meter away from your computer. For many people, it's the too abstract issue, the only graph that directly affects them, and have no concept of social responsibility. I agree, Robert. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. I remember one of the first streams I said I'm going to eventually visit all of you people if I can. That's unfortunately on hold at the moment. But as soon as this damn virus passes, I hope to visit some of you guys in person. I have a friend in Buenos Aires. Yesterday we were fighting online as he sent me a photo of him in a restaurant looking smug. I feel your pain, Trippy. I told him to stock up. Classy Andy, hi. Cough, cough. Today he live streamed himself boiling eggs in a kettle. Now, going to a restaurant, see, people feel fine. People go, say, well, everyone else is doing it, so I should. Maybe I'm paranoid if I don't go. I'm a foot away from my phone. A foot or a meter? No, I think, what is that? 3 feet is a meter. Is that right? I live in southwest London, and there is also a lack of cars here. Lots of parking spaces empty. People are leaving London. The best way to spread the virus. Cider. The same what happened here in Milan when the government said we're going to lock down Lombardy. We're going to lock down the entire region. Someone leaked the information the day before it was to be locked down, and of course people jumped on trains and left the city of Milan and the region, and now we're worried that 3 feet is a yard. Oh, sorry, a yard is about a meter, isn't that right? And now people are worried that many hospitals in the south of Italy will not be able to cope, because there's a huge difference between the south of Italy and the north of Italy. In the north, it's much richer, it's much more advanced, while in the south they've suffered a lot of problems, economic problems, corruption problems, mafia problems, and if the virus arrives there also, they're frigged, really. Look after yourself, Max. The pubs are packed for the last night in England. Thanks, Nobby heads. Look after yourself too. If people going to pubs, I understand. Okay, we have the last night, but it's not. The government shouldn't have said, okay, we're going to do it from tomorrow. They should have done it today, but not told anyone that we're doing it from today. In the sense they shouldn't have given an extra day off, for people to go to the pubs and say, okay, from tomorrow, because of course people would pack the pubs. But that's the complete opposite of what you want to do. In a way, the Italians did it right because they said the lockdown is from now, from 12 o'clock today, for example. Am I under lockdown, Rich? Yes, I am. All of Italy is under lockdown. And the government have they've extended it indefinitely, but they've also made it more severe. Thanks, Robert. More severe in the sense that we could, in the past few days, until recently, we could actually go for a walk around the town, normally individually or maximum in twos. But now it's limited to 200 meters from your home. So I can go to the end of my street and then back again. That's it. I can't go to the center. I'm fortunate that there's a small shop at the end of my street, so I don't need any specific documentation if I need to go further. But to go out and about, I need to have a document to say why I'm going out. Maybe, for example, I need to go to the pharmacy. I don't know if I'd said this in the last live stream, but I was stopped by the police, and the police, or maybe it was in one of the videos, I was stopped by the police, and they asked me for a copy of the receipt from the pharmacy to prove that I had gone to the pharmacy, because they asked me, why are you going around? And so I had to go to the pharmacy, and they said, show us the receipt. So I had to show the receipt, and they said, okay. Why was Italy so hard hit in particular? Because Milan has a lot of contact with China. So Milan is a hub for businesses in Italy, and there's a huge amount of business flowing between China and Milan in particular. And because over the last number of years, a lot of the big Italian companies have outsourced a lot of their work to China. So there's a flow of Chinese and Italians over and back to China all the time. And they brought it back, as far as we know. I think it started with one guy, actually, Patient Zero, in Colodo, I think was the name of the town, a small town. It started there, and then it just exploded. Because he had been infected, but nobody had known for a couple of weeks. The police closed a pub today in Ireland, where they found people in the storeroom. What about parks and fields, a place to walk dogs? No, until today it was possible, now not. You need only within 200 meters. So you have to walk your dog in the garden or within 200 meters of your home. Can you walk back and forth within those 200 meters? I'm a big runner. A 10k, no, you wouldn't be permitted. You could run back and forth 200 meters. Look, it depends on where you live. If you live in a large city, hi Edward. If you live in a large city, there's a chance that you're going to meet the police. Where I live, it's a very, very small town. So the police would come out and check. For example, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I went for a walk, and I saw the Carabinieri, which is the military police. They were just patrolling the town. They didn't actually stop and speak to me, but I saw them driving around, probably checking that people are, going about their business and not. But there were no cars passing through the town, only trucks, because they normally have permission to go from town to town. In Italy, if you want to go to another town, you need to have a certification. So you fill out a form, you download it from the internet, from the local town hall. They give you can download this PDF, print it out, fill it out, and then the permissions on it say medical or some type of, if you need to do, for example, shopping for an older person, you can do that. And I forget there was another reason you can go. So it's normally medicine for yourself, shopping for an older person, or shopping for yourself, or there was also another reason. Glad I caught your live stream. Hi, Frank. Hi, everyone who's just entered, in case I didn't say hello to you before. They said all starlet from Sky Court in Austria. I can't remember the name. We have no police here. Benefits of austerity. Where are you, William? Are you in the UK? Or what part? Does anyone think that this might be a profound long-term change in politics as people now see the necessity of a strong social welfare state? That's an interesting question, Sir Antonius. I think this is a big change. And for example, the Boris Johnson talking about something equivalent to UBI is a huge change. Also, Donald Trump is talking about having something equivalent to UBI. So that's a huge, massive change. There is talk that the Republican Party in the US is going to move towards being the party of the working class, and the Democrats moving more to the party of the middle class. So a complete switch around as well. Yes, it's a game changer economy. What do they do for people without printers? That's an interesting question. I think if you're an older person or you don't have a printer, you'd need to ask someone, maybe your neighbor or someone, or maybe you can ask the town hall. You can call them up and say, look, I don't have a printer. Maybe someone from the town hall can print it out for you. But it's an interesting, I never actually thought about the problem of if you don't have a printer. I'm lucky I have a printer and never thought about that. I want to thank you for your entertaining YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Frank. Stay safe in Austria. I know you're close to Italy, close to us in Italy, so, and you have your border up, so you should be safe. But I know there's some, the numbers are rising in Austria also. What happens if you run out of ink in the printer breaks? You'll be out of luck. Hope you still get deliveries. Yes. I was worried about Amazon or different couriers, but the couriers arrived without any problems. I had to order some pet food, but because there isn't a pet food shop in my town, so I had to order that online, and it arrived without any problems. So I'm quite happy. Handwritten note is acceptable. Probably, yeah, as long as it's it's something similar to what the website says. And I think if it's an older person, the police are somewhat understanding in that. What about a ticket? An e-ticket on phone? I haven't tried it. The reason why is I don't want to get into trouble, because if you don't have the right documentation, you can face up to €300 fine or 3 months in prison. So I always make sure everything is printed out very clearly and very easy to understand. Handwritten is okay in France, and that's good. Yeah. Normally the police are the local police are quite understanding. The Carabinieri not so understanding. No offense to them, but they're a bit particular, those ones. In the US, national disaster seems to be the way for politicians to make money by insider trading. Reminds you of any country, Max? No comment. Hi from Scotland. Hello all my Scots, my Scot friends. Hope you're all well. You're probably in the best place. Scotland is probably the best place. It's so remote. The Isle of Skye is probably the safest place in the world, or Iceland, or the Shetland Islands is probably somewhere very safe to be now. Although probably they've also seen cases. What happens with homeless people? So here in my town, we don't have any homeless people. It's very, we're lucky in a way, or lucky for them. There are no homeless people here in my small town, but I do worry about homeless people in Milan, for example, or homeless people in London, what are they going to do? Because charities are also suffering, because charities depend on volunteers. I can't speak for London because I don't know, but here in Italy, volunteers can't get out to do their volunteering because they don't have permission to do so, because it's not one of the cases, one of the permissions you can get. So you can't volunteer, and if you can't volunteer, you can't help homeless people, for example, or the poor, and the poor can't get their food parcels or whatever. And then you can't also collect money. You can't go to you can probably go to the supermarket and leave something out for the charities, but the charities are really suffering at the moment. And also people are worried about their salaries, because while fortunately in the UK you have the 80% for some people, in Italy we don't have anything coming through yet. There has been talk of, I think it's €400 per person, but they need to have paid a certain amount of years in taxes and stuff like that. It's always, the devil is in the detail, Raging Voice, hi, how are you? Is Ireland under lockdown? Alex Morton, the Welsh valleys have to be the safest place to live right now. Yes. Cases on Shetland too, Max. Oh my God. Safest place right now is in a boat in the middle of the Atlantic. Not a cruise ship though. Floating petri dishes. Scotland wouldn't be a bad choice either. Wondering about the homeless. They can't exactly stay home. One tried to shake my hand yesterday, which felt awkward. That's drumming. That's an interesting thing about how we're going to change it. Glasgow Kiss, thank you so much. Thank you for the donation. How are we going to interact with people? I assume you saw the video of Prince Charles. It was quite awkward, him getting out of a car, and he was about to shake hands with someone, and they stood away from him. They stepped away from him, and he realized, and he did a namaste greeting instead. The Hindu, is it? Or please correct me in the comment section, in the chat. But then he moved on to someone else, and he did the same namaste greeting as well. But how are we going to greet people in the future? When do we start to shake hands again? Will there be a day when we do it? Everyone starts to shake hands again, or will we? Or will it be something gradual, or will it be elbows first, feet first, elbows then? The isolated tribes in the Amazon are the safest. Can you imagine? I hope for them that they're the safest, because if it gets to them as well, they are wiped out immediately. I vote for the International Space Station. Wouldn't it be terrible? Was it? I think it was The Walking Dead. I don't want to go too morbid here, but it was The Walking Dead when they said that there were people in the International Space Station who were watching everything from up there, and they couldn't get back down again. That'd be quite scary. The lab at the local. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss, for putting for the donation and linking. Thank you. You're so kind. The safest place is Rockwell Island. Why am I reading so badly tonight? We will communicate by mime. That'd be awesome. All of society's problems could be solved by money, which are caused by money. Yes. So for China is a country with a huge degree of social control, and European countries are with excellent health services which have been hit. What happened what happens when it hits Africa and India. So South Africa has seen some cases. Nigeria has seen some cases. It's going to decimate Africa if it's the case, because they don't have the resources that we have in Europe. And the governments don't have the ability to clamp down, to lock down these countries. It's going to be a disaster, I think. I really hope that, whatever cases they've seen are the last. But if it's not, a country like India as well. Didn't India get hit? I thought it couldn't really get hold there. Vaguely remember hearing something. This is also, the media in many cases, in many of these countries are controlled by the state. So there may be cases, but we don't know about it. Did you narrow down why you're getting demonetized? Still nothing. I think it's still this issue of the video that my mathematics video, you guys probably remember. I think it's probably that one, but I'll have to wait for another few weeks and then I should know. I remember you brought coronavirus up on the stream a month ago, and you said you didn't think it would be a major issue. Truly famous. I don't remember saying that. From Hi QA Library, from Louis Rossman, family from Italy. He has over 1 million on YouTube. His thinking is that is why the virus is so bad in Italy is the culture of kissing and touching. That's also probably a factor, because Italians kiss on the cheek. People hug a lot more here than they do in the north of Europe, so it could be really an issue. I'm sure that there's a repeat question, but if there's a lockdown happens, how do you get food? So you should be able to get food. Like in China, how they delivered food was they had couriers deliver the food. So you'd order the food maybe from the supermarket and the courier would bring it to your home. In China, they were extremely strict with the courier would have his or her temperature measured and it'd be written on the package that would arrive so that you'd know. And also the people who prepared the food. If you ordered a takeaway, the people who ordered the food would have their temperature measured and written on a piece of paper, and the courier who delivered it would have it written on a piece of paper also. So you would be able to see if the people who were giving you the food or preparing or delivering the food were actually ill. Hi David from Budapest. I hope you're well there. I can't believe that I said that coronavirus would not be an issue. Don't take betting information from me. Nobody, myself included, saw the seriousness of this. I think because we thought it was limited to China. We thought, okay, it's over there. There haven't been any cases here. It's stuck there. Maybe it's not going to come over here. Or we'll just, monitor people as they come in through the airport, and that'll be it. But obviously, that was not it. Miss Nomad, I've been thinking about Demolition Man for weeks. Spot on. I live in America. It's a complete crap show. Rusty, what part are you in, Rusty? Because I have a friend who lives in California, in San Diego, and I just saw in the news today that the governor of California is talking about having the state having something like 25 million cases. Half the population of California could be infected, which is just insane. Now, I don't know why he came out with those figures, how he got those figures, but if that's the case, it's unbelievable. Luby Lou, you've got your own vegetable garden. Clever you. A guy at my uni went home for the weekend and shagged a gal on a night out. She tested positive for coronavirus the week later, and the entire uni got shut down. Absolute scenes. How does he feel at the moment? Probably a bit nervous. It's our punishment, no calendar. Cotton cat. See, I can't go out. I'd like to do the calendar outside, but we're under lockdown, so it'll have to wait a little bit longer. Unless I can get a green screen, but no, that'd be too difficult. Are the British not scared? They have kept the pubs, schools, and much more open, much more until today. I would think it was very stupid. I think there was this idea that we try to keep things as normal as possible for as long as possible. But unfortunately, I think it's going to make the situation much worse. Because if you look at the situation here in Italy, in a short time, they went from a small number of cases to completely locking down a region of 6 million people. And then a few days later, they locked down the entire country. And now they're talking about locking it down even more. And the UK has only started to lock down just today. What I'm very worried about is the numbers of healthcare workers who may be infected. So we need to watch how healthcare workers, for the percentages of healthcare workers, because I saw some data from Ireland where I think it was 20% of cases were healthcare workers, which is very serious because these are people who are on the front line fighting this. They're your Marines, they're your special forces in your battle. And if they're wiped out, then who's going to replace them? The head of the Central German Disease Control Facility said today that this is the worst case scenario they've always feared. It will spread through this society in waves until vaccination works. I know, although Germany is much better prepared than the UK is. I don't know if Germany's better prepared than Italy. Maybe you have much more resources than Italy and the UK have. But it's not just resources you need to control the population. You have large population centres, which are the best breeding grounds for viruses. I can do a camera view of the countryside here where I'm locked down. The views from my property is great. So it's not cabin fever. So I've not got cabin fever. Max, has the EU helped Italy in any way? On a local level, I don't know what they've done. I haven't seen anything from the EU on a local level, but I do think there has been some support logistically and financially on the national level, but I don't have any data to back that up. As far, I just read something about it recently. So on a local level, no, it's all done by the local government, but from the EU, I don't know what they've done on the national level. Where's the exit strategy for all of this? Can't maintain lockdown forever. And that's an interesting point, Sam Priest. What's the way out? Now, China have locked down, and now they have no cases. No new cases locally. So the only cases they have are people bringing it into the country. So if we lock down, perhaps we'll be okay. The nursing unions and Register of Nursing been contacting everyone that left or retired from nursing, asking them, are they available to work? I saw they will be the reserves. when we start to lose frontline staff, they'll have to pick up the slack. And then what happens if they get sick? They get infected. Who's going to replace them? How's the Vatican faring? Have they been hit? I think they had one case, but the Pope is going around encouraging priests to meet with people, to spend time with people, and this is insane. Other church leaders are saying, look, we need to isolate people, we need to control this, but the Pope is talking about doing the opposite. I know that one well. I used to work at University of Wales. William, thanks news on Lincoln, was someone tested positive at Lincoln University. They have 7 tested positive in Lincoln now. I've already watched all the videos on YouTube, Pornhub and Netflix. Next I'll go through Apple TV Plus, HBO. Disney Plus arrives at the end of the month. All of them. Did you see the video kowtowing for Chinese help? No, I haven't seen that video, no. I was not kowtowing, but I assume we need to work together. Everyone needs to work together to defeat this. I think it's important that we put political differences aside until this virus has been defeated. Going mad with the lockdown. I remember the second day of the lockdown here. I was like, okay, I feel like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. I need to get out. I don't know how those people survive in those experiments, where they have a group of Russians or a group of Americans inside a fake moon base or Mars base for 300 days. How do they survive? I don't know how they do it. What is the weirdest cure you've heard about? Because I think I heard someone saying you can cure it with essential oils. Or I heard someone saying you should drink some sort of hot liquid, like hot tea or something like that, because it will kill the virus in your throat. Of course, it doesn't do that. Did you see that American presbyterian preacher who was trying to heal people online? His hands were super shiny. Yeah, I saw that. I've got my Mott drone. If they're closing down anything I can hear, I don't know how little things like that will affect everyone. What's worse, being locked down on your own or being locked down with your household? Do you want to interview my friend, how a retired nurse, and how he's getting back? Yeah, I'd love to interview the retired nurse and about their return to work, their forced return to work. Because I imagine at the beginning it'll be, please come back. And then after it'll be, you have to come back. Nukes. But yeah, nukes would sort it out. The virus only transfers via droplets and surfaces. Some people were saying it's airborne only. I was part of the English department looking after all the overseas students. And part of the job was teaching now and again. Evening, wee Scott's dog. I hope you're well. Do not listen to anything that tinfoil wearing wearing moron Alex Jones says, please. All religions have ceased services in Australia except Eastern Orthodox, as they say the disease cannot survive in a holy place. I know in Iran there was a cleric saying, we don't care about the disease, we're fine. And then he died from the disease. Someone is suggesting using a hairdryer to burn away the virus from your... Oh my God. Hi, Mark Franks. How does Germany have so little deaths when so many cases? Really important to know this. I can't answer that. I can only speculate that so they have many cases but fewer deaths, probably because they are testing a lot of people. So they test them, and because if people are tested early, they're able to be treated early, and then they don't develop the disease so strongly. So they're able to be... So that's why testing is so important. It's not just testing shows that people are sick, but testing allows you to isolate people who are sick immediately, and you're able to stop the flow of the disease, the spread, and you're able to give people, non-aggressive treatment that they can get at the beginning of the symptoms, at the beginning of the stages of the virus. And they have a better chance of surviving. So people who are... It's very, very important to test because you can nip it in the bud in a sense. Hit the like button, yes please. Smash the like button. Smash that, mother. On Facebook, people are on Facebook. Okay, Facebook. People are saying that if you hold your breath for 10 seconds and don't cough within the 10 seconds, you don't have the virus. Oh. Who creates these things? Who writes these things? Trump wants to give $1,000 per person, and the Dems want to stop him. I don't know what they're doing. Why are they against that? Although I think it's $1,000 for people who have contracts, but people who have 0-hour contracts or no contracts, non-contract work or minimum wage, they wouldn't get it. So I don't know if they're against it completely or against it because not everyone would actually get it. But the Democrats aren't, especially the corporate Democrats, the moderate Democrats in the US, are completely disconnected from reality. In Germany, we've also realized early on that the main source of spreading came from people returning from ski resorts. So if you find where it's coming from, you can limit the spread. If you test people early, you can treat the illness before they get seriously sick. There's so many different ways why Germany has more cases but fewer deaths. I've been seeing some stories about young people getting in Italy too. I have mild asthma and I'm 21. How worried do I reckon I should be? Everyone's susceptible. So be very careful. This myth that it's only older people get it. I've seen pictures of people in hospitals here who are in their 30s, in their 40s. There was even a newborn who got sick in London, I think it was. I don't know the current situation, but everyone is susceptible. The UK has turned into a socialist state overnight. That was the idea of giving everyone 80% of their salary, no questions asked, more or less. So the UK is a very strange position now. You have a conservative government who are acting like socialists. Charlton Online has a big YouTube presence, a chemical, big pharma. He's selling a drink called MMS, and it's being called sodium hypochlorite, which is bleach. I remember there was a scandal about the bleach selling from a religious fundamentalist who were going to Africa and giving small bottles of bleach costing $15 or $50, I can't remember, but to poor Africans, people who were, saving up money to get this quote unquote cure for HIV or whatever, or Ebola, and it was bleach. And they were challenged on it, and they were saying, no, but we're not doing anything wrong. We're not doing anything illegal. So a ridiculous video claiming that that G5 was caused by corona. So there's so many people say, yeah, corona was started by the Israelis. Corona was started by my own uncle was saying. So I was speaking to my dad recently, and we were talking about this, obviously, and he had said, oh yes, I was speaking to my brother, my uncle, and he said that the coronavirus was invented in China to kill off half the population. So I face palmed to that. I was wondering, he probably read it on Facebook. Thunderfoot did a great video on the virus a few days ago. I'll check that out if I have time. I will. Thunderfoot is a scientist, an actual scientist, and he does very interesting videos. Never panic, but worry about any contact and be hypervigilant. Yes, it's important not to lose your marbles over this, but to be vigilant at the same time. Pubs close, so beer becomes the new toilet roll. It was the Russians, yes. So, guys, I want to show you this video where Donald Trump gets into a bit of a fracas with one of the journalists. So let me see if I can open it up. Hopefully, you'll be able. Tell me if you can hear it. The sound should be working, but see what he has to say.
Millions of units are ordered, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to be talking to the governors about it, and the FDA.
So I just want to say, always look at the people who are surrounding Donald Trump. This lady here, I don't know, she's a chief medical scientist or something. Always look at her expressions. You can always imagine in her mind, she's like, oh my God, what is he saying now? And Mike Pompeo is expressionless. But anyway, let's go ahead.
Is working on it right now. The advantage is that it has been prescribed for a totally different problem, but it has been described for many years, and everybody knows the levels of the negatives and the positives. But I will say that I am a man that comes from a very positive school when it comes to, in particular, one of these drugs, and we'll see how it works out, Peter. I'm not saying it will, but I think that people may be surprised. By the way, that would be a game changer, but we're going to know very soon.
For clarity, Dr. Fauci said there is no magic drug for coronavirus right now, which you would agree. I guess on this issue,
I think we only disagree a little bit.
Sorry,
I disagree. Maybe and maybe not. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We have to see. We're going to know.
So maybe there is a magic drug, maybe there isn't a magic drug. You can tell by Trump is when he doesn't understand what he's talking about, he says, yeah, maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. Maybe we'll land on the moon, or maybe on Mars, I should say. Maybe we'll land on Mars, maybe we won't land on Mars. Maybe we'll end the virus, maybe we won't. He doesn't have any true understanding of what he's talking about.
Is it possible that your impulse to put a positive spin on things may be giving Americans a false sense of hope?
No, I don't think so.
Misrepresenting the preparedness right now.
No, I don't think so. I think that I think it's got
the not yet approved drug.
Such a lovely question. Look, it may work and it may not work, and I agree with the doctor what he said. May work, may not work. I feel good about it. Let's see what happens. We have nothing to lose. You know the expression? What the hell do you have to lose? Okay.
So what do you say to Americans? Sir, nearly 200. I'll just follow up. Nearly 200 dead. What do you say to Americans who are scared, though? I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000 who are sick, millions, as you witnessed, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. Go ahead.
Like, people are scared, and your response is you're a terrible reporter. He just wants people to kiss his ass. He doesn't want people to actually hold him to account. Because he doesn't know. He doesn't understand what he's talking about.
I think it's a very nasty question, and I think it's a very bad signal that you're putting out to the American people. The American people are looking for answers, and
But he doesn't. This journalist, James Brady, not James Brady Briefing Room, okay, but this journalist doesn't represent the American people. He doesn't answer to the American people. You do.
looking for hope. And you're doing sensationalism, and the same with NBC and Comcast. I don't call it Comcast. I call it Concast. Let me just for whom you work. Let me just tell you something. That's really bad reporting. And you ought to get back to reporting instead of sensationalism. Let's see if it works. It might and it might not. I happen to feel good about it, but who knows?
Reporting, so he just wants people to repeat what he says. He doesn't want to be asked questions. He doesn't want to be asked any questions. He just wants him to say something and then people to regurgitate what he actually has said.
I've been right a lot. Let's see what happens, John.
Yeah, you've been right a lot. Yeah, first of all, you said it was a hoax. Then you said it was invented by the Democrats. And now you're saying, okay, well, it's not really an issue. We can deal with it. And we have a magic bullet to cure it. Oh, my God. It has a 100% success rate. But why isn't it being mass-produced? Isn't it Jim Acosta? I don't know the name of the journalist. Let me see if it actually says below. No, Peter Alexander. Okay. I don't call it Comcast, I call it Goncast. Oh my. Does anyone take Trump seriously anymore, apart from the MAGA people? But it's... Really, I don't know what to say. I have another video to show you guys. Just bear with me for a moment. It's on Twitter.
Local grocers Harrow, North London this morning. How is social...
So as we're always talking about social spacing, I have another video for you.
The queue at a local grocer's Harrow, North London this morning. How is social distancing panning out for you? As you can see, it's fine.
No, we're hardly changing at all, because if you do that, then you give into it, sort of thing.
The queue at a local grocer's Harrow,
How
North
can I stop
London.
this? Okay. if you respect distance, you give in to the virus. Does she not understand that the virus is not, I don't know, the enemy? It's the enemy as in an entity that is thinking and is planning to attack you, and that, we don't give in to terrorism, we don't give in to the virus. Oh my God. There'll be a baby boom in 9 months. I heard a woman in the US got charged $34,000 for coronavirus treatment. So yeah, I read about that. So I didn't understand whether she was that old lady. I didn't understand whether she was a foreigner in the US or she was just someone in the US who didn't have insurance, because it's a big issue also that many insurance companies won't provide treatment payment for the treatment of the coronavirus. So they give you free tests, but they won't treat the virus. Ciao Davide. Thank you. Sei brevissimo. Thank you very much. Sei brevissimo tu. Give into it. Give yourself space, or be dead in a month. There'll be a baby boom in 9 months. All this locking people away will create a baby boom. There'll be a new baby boom generation. If she got charged only 34, she got off cheap. Imagine $34,000. You get sick, you get tested, the test is free, and then you get a bill after for the treatment for $34,000. How did it come to that price? I don't understand. All people are lifted from the Roskomos, and they remain under Russian jurisdiction. Do you think Jeremy Corbyn will self-isolate? Over 70s have been done. Yeah, Jeremy Corbyn should, and I'm not saying this from political point of view, Jeremy Corbyn is over 70, he should be isolating. He's in a risk factor. But he's still in Parliament. I think, although if we go down that road, you'd have to put half or more than half the people from the House of Lords in isolation also. I got charged $3,000 just for 24 hours in observation for a serious allergy in the States. Did you have insurance, Benit? Or did you have to pay yourself? Smash the like button, yes, please. Did you know the tests cost $5 each? Yeah, although there's a big problem in Northern Ireland at the moment, where they don't have enough tests, but they are actually produced. Some of them are produced by a company in Northern Ireland. Here in Italy, it will be fun because when we will end all this madness, everyone, the world will be full ramping up. Davide, one of the things I'm going to do as soon as this damn lockdown is over is I'm going to have a cappuccino and brioche. I haven't had a cappuccino and a pastry in a long time, and I'm dying for one. More than a beer, because I can get a beer. I can go to the supermarket and get a beer, but there's nothing like sitting in a bar, in a pastry shop, eating a very nice brioche and a cappuccino. So these small things I miss. The tests aren't accurate. Oh my God. Ultimate Chad move to end your opponent's political career by making them lock themselves in their home. But I think Jeremy has to lock himself in his home. But who would he be replaced by? Probably Keir Starmer. So I think it'd be a step up. No offense to Jeremy, but he should have gone in December by right. Will the situation extend Brexit? Yeah, I think at the moment they're talking about not extending Brexit, but I think they will. If you look at, Michel Barnier has been checked and he's positive, and the chief negotiator on the British side Sir David Frost, not Sir David Frost, David Frost. He's also been checked. So I don't know if he's come out as positive or not yet, but the talks will be delayed. And if they're delayed, it makes sense that that Brexit will be extended. I think Boris Johnson is not going to suffer politically if he said, look, we need to extend it, considering the circumstances. And I think it's important that we, don't jump up and down. Yay, he's extending. The country's under a certain amount of strain at the moment. And I think Brexit should be quietly extended and no one should make a song and dance about it. There are bigger fish to fry at the moment. There is still insisting that they won't extend. I think at the moment they're saying it, but wait till the disaster really hits, and then Brexit will not even be a thought in people's minds. I bought a mask, FFP3, before all the madness during the epidemiology class. Our professor back in February said to brace ourselves. Well done, Davide. I didn't. Do you think Johnson could have doled some of the money out if Corbyn hadn't told him to? I doubt it. I think they realised this is a good idea. What's the point in fighting this? It's just going to damage us. So some companies are doing temperature checks. Great to help detect possible cases. Yeah, I was talking about this to someone a couple of weeks ago. I said, look, why don't we do temperature checks from today? Francois will have a redder face. Do you think the press would report pay the workers without Corbyn's words in the PMQs? How much worse is it that this hard landing, no deal Brexit? I'm leaning towards significantly worse. How much worse is this than a hard landing, no deal Brexit? I think it's much worse than a no deal Brexit. At least with no deal Brexit, there would be a means to, both sides of the border would be working to get trucks moving. But here you can't move trucks, you can't move people because both sides are worried about the infection. So this is much worse, I think, than a no deal Brexit. But we don't know, because a no deal Brexit's worst case scenario is pretty much like this. But I don't think people would tolerate something like this again in January. So I think there would be some sort of agreement on both sides to at least get trucks moving across the border. Yes, Killer, thank you. Hit the like button. Helps more people into... We're up to 123 viewers. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat. Welcome everyone who's in the stream. Do you think if Salvini was in charge, he would stop all the Chinese workers coming back to Italy to work in clothes factories? No, Salvini is all bluster. I think Salvini would be blowing his mouth off over this, and he's criticizing the government at every turn. But I think the government are doing the best that they can at the moment. I think, and I'm very angry that they don't have plans for a UBI here in Italy. You have something like that in the UK at the moment, and in the US they're talking about it, and in Italy no. And a lot of people are suffering at the moment, and we don't really have any support from the government. I understand we're in disaster mode, but I haven't heard anything. Davide, have you heard anything about some sort of support from the government about, for people who are losing their jobs? I was speaking to a man in Rome who he's working from home, and he's losing his mind because and this is probably something for many of you in the future. He's losing his mind because he has his kids at home and he can't look after his kids and work. I just sent you a DM via Twitter so you can share the wording, but nothing else yet. Asking Adam if he can share full name and photo. Okay, thank you very much. In, out, it will pass. Someone hits the dislike button. No! So when is everyone... So I think maybe we're talking about Brexit, so we won't talk about Brexit anymore. I bet so many Brexiteers that can't stand Bozo over his coronavirus tactics, mainly the older generation. Wouldn't Salvini close the borders? Well, he probably... He'd close the borders with Austria and Slovenia and France. But that's not where the problem is. The problem is inland. It's not... The problem is not with people coming into the country from the border. At the airports, more security at the airports, but it's the virus is not coming in that way. It's coming in through the airports. He probably put checks on Chinese people, but the problem is also Italians coming back from China who are bringing it with them. So he can stop the Chinese from coming in, but he's not going to be able to stop the Italians from coming back from China. So anything Salvini would do would be quite limited, I think. He'd say, yeah, I'm doing a lot, but I don't think he'd be able to manage this situation. He's all mouth and no trousers. Feel sorry for Philip Schofield. He just came out and now he's been told to stay in. You should interview a nurse. When it's all calmed down. I'd love to interview. Yeah, at the moment it's not possible to interview any medical staff, but I'd love to interview a nurse from Lombardy, especially when this is all over. I was just thinking today that I hope, maybe they will, but I hope the president of Italy gives these people a medal or some sort of award or something like that, because they deserve it beyond words, how they're putting their lives on the line. And I hope it's the same in every country, in the UK as well, that members of the NHS are fully rewarded for the work that they're doing. Because I want to be honest here, some people may go into the hospital and may not come out. People who will go in and work and will get sick and will die, and we have to be prepared for that, and they're prepared for that. And it really drives me up the wall when I see videos of people going to the gym or people going to the pubs, complete disregard for the issues, the effects that's going to have later on down the road. And look, in the video here we have people queuing to go into a supermarket. Okay, I understand. Supermarket is different. You have to buy food, but you don't have to go to the pub. You don't have to go to the gym. If you want to work out, do it at home. You can survive. You're not going to die not going to the gym. You're not going to die not going to the pub. Because if you get sick, or if you infect someone who is a member of the NHS, they're going to work that day, you bump into them, or you touch something on the tram or on the train, on the underground, and they touch it as well and they get sick, it's much a bigger problem if they get sick than if you get sick. What films has reminded you of so far? I'm ex-NHS staff. They can call me back, but when they have to test me for antibodies first, problem is no tests available. Kim, thanks for that comment. it's they have to test people. Why are they not testing? I fear that they're not testing NHS staff, and this is just my own hypothesis. I don't know whether it's true or not, because they don't want to show that these people can get sick. Somebody hit the dislike. It's okay. Don't worry, guys. Somebody may have pressed the dislike by accident. But it's they're afraid that if these people get sick, they'll have to be replaced, and there isn't a replacement for them. So they would prefer them to continue working even if they are sick, because there isn't a replacement. It's like the soldier who gets wounded. We don't have a replacement for you. Get back out onto the battlefield. That's my gut feeling about it. I hope it's because there aren't tests available, and they're working to get them available to the NHS staff, but not just NHS. You need firefighters need to have them, police need to have them. Anyone who's in contact with the public, who's controlling the public, who's meeting with the public on a daily basis, they have to be tested. And if the NHS aren't going to give them, they should at least make them available, privately, so that people can be sure. But it's a disgrace that the NHS are not given tests. They should double pay for the NHS staff for 3 months. I agree 100%. Cops here in France have need ordered to take off their masks, stop using them, as they can't provide enough of them. My God. I was wondering about the potential positives: more home working, less pollution from commuting, redundant office space converted to social housing. Very interesting, yes. With Scott's dog. I think we're going to move, more home working can be a positive. People spend more time with their families, which, is a big problem. If you think about it, if you work in an office 8 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and spend time traveling as well, how much time do you actually at the end of that spend with your family? Many people get home, they're tired, they eat something, go to sleep, and then restart the same again the next day. If they're able to spend more time with their family, that's better for their families, it's better for them, their own well-being. And then, of course, the environmental impact as well. I wanted to share a video. I found it online. I may upload it tomorrow, of dolphins returning to Trieste, which is a city near in the north of northeast of Italy. Dolphins have returned because cruise ships have stopped returning and pollution levels have decreased. And that's something positive. Are you going to stream Plague? I need to get the software working, but I need to get into one of those groups that you were talking about. Do you think it was stupid that the Italian government were more concerned about racism than Corona, and people were doing videos of hugging Chinese people? So that was the mayor of Florence. So it wasn't really the Italian government, but it was the mayor of Florence who was trying to convince people that we shouldn't be treating the Chinese with disrespect and concern, but we should be hugging them. Now, I don't know how many people got infected, or if anyone got infected by hugging the Chinese, but saying that this was an attempt to fix racism or something, or it was how can I say, irresponsible. I think the idea behind it was, look, we shouldn't treat the Chinese community with disrespect. They're people as well, and they have to be treated with respect. And hugging them was one way. It was the same with some years ago. There was people hugging members of the Muslim community. after one of the terrorist attacks. So was it wrong to hug those people? You know, at the time, we don't know. We shouldn't be hugging anyone at the moment. But I don't agree that it was wrong to hug the Chinese members of the Chinese community. But I guess it's easier to say that now than then. We can see the negative impact of being absent much more soon. But interesting about the, empty office space could be used for social housing. That would be a very good use of it. And then we could also maybe spend more time in our communities if we're able to work from home. Maybe we can do more volunteering, helping out in the local community. I think that could be something positive. And also helping local businesses, if and we don't need to commute so much, we can develop more our local towns or villages. I think there are a lot of positives from this as well. We will have to find ways to get the minimum required production of essential goods. I think as we're moving towards automation and robotics, I think we'll be able to fix a lot of those problems. They could have gifted a flower or something instead of a hug. Yes, hindsight is 2020. A lotus flower, or I think it's Japanese, is a symbol of Japan. A symbol in Japan is maybe the lotus flower. My sister is trying to do that. 2 young kids and nurseries closed, but as she's an NHS worker working with confidential patient data, she doesn't hold out much hope. Tories are up 52% of the polls right now. Who would have thought that? That could change over the next couple of months, though. But yes, Boris Johnson is doing very well in the polls. The Tories are doing very well in the polls. Normally, during a crisis, the government who's in charge normally do well. So people rally behind the government. So it's the same happened during 9/11. George W. Bush, his approval ratings went through the roof, and also during the Iraq War as well. Even though a lot of people were against the war, most people supported him because in a time of crisis, people rally around the party. Certain people are always banging on about the war. Now's the chance to show how it's done. Let's call it now. My editorial supervisor at Columbia was Chinese. He died last year at age 96. I would rather receive some cannabis flowers. Screw the useless lotus. Maybe the Tories will legalize marijuana. That could be something down in the pipeline. It would reduce a lot of anxiety in the country, I think. 52% in the polls, but we're also 2 weeks behind Italy. Well, no, normally after the crisis, then the polls will decline. But during the crisis, Boris Johnson and the Tories will have full support, unless they really mess up. But the same way, if you look at any crisis over the last number of decades, the people normally rally behind, even if they're low in the polls. When the crisis starts, people rally behind the leader. What's happening to the price of goods in Italy? Prices in supermarkets, if you're talking about supermarkets, they haven't changed. There's been no panic buying. Everything's hunky-dory in the supermarkets. I haven't seen anything limited. I haven't seen any limits on pasta or fresh fruit and vegetables. everything is fine with those. We haven't seen any problems. You see, the government came out as soon as the lockdown, a few days, I think it was actually a few days before the lockdown, they were talking about some type of lockdown. And they said, look, supermarkets will be supplied, shelves will be refilled, so don't worry about it. And some people were a bit worried, but when we went to the supermarket, there was no, when I went, just a few days after it was the day after the lockdown, I didn't see any, people fighting over toilet paper or over pasta or anything like that. The only difference was people walking around with masks and a limited number into the supermarket. Now, some of the bigger stores are struggling a bit because you have longer queues, but where I am, there is no issue at all. On the bright side, no orange order marches this year. It'd be probably the first year ever, would it be, Killer, that there are no orange order marches this year? Like the very first year ever. I don't think it's ever been cancelled before, has it? I know they cancelled some of them because some of this contentious marches, but all of them, no. There's a blatant Facebook campaign going on at the minute. I've seen a lot of, I'm glad Boris got our back. At least it's not Jeremy Corbyn over the last few days. But Jeremy Corbyn would have done exactly the same. Jeremy Corbyn would have probably done much better. The fact that the lockdown has been so delayed, I don't know, would Jeremy Corbyn have waited that long? I don't think so. Would the schools have been closed so late? I don't think so. But I don't know. We don't have any idea how Jeremy Corbyn would have operated. So, as someone who's quite, I'm critical of Jeremy Corbyn, but I'm not going to say he would have been a disaster because we don't know. You can't say he would have done worse than Boris Johnson because nobody knows. Always had the knuckle draggers marching around here as far back as I remember. I bet the TT is banned too. Yeah, I think the Isle of Man TT is banned. The government has put 23 million of euro of direct investment into the business, but we still don't know. We need to find. We need a way for a bit. So it's one thing putting money into businesses, but what about ordinary citizens? Because not everyone, works for a company. Many people are self-employed. The lockdown delay has cost many lives, yes. So we're going to see. Let me see if I can find the graph. Let me see. This isn't exactly what I wanted to show you, but I'll show it to you anyway. So The UK is more or less 14 days behind Italy. Now, of course, there are many different factors to consider. But if we look at the 5th of March, Italy had 148 dead. So the UK 14 days behind that is 144 dead. So it's very similar. If we go all the way down, we have the 19th of March, 3,405 dead. If it continues in that way, you're going to have more than that. Now, Italy has been on lockdown since the beginning of March. So the UK is already a number of days behind, not just behind the outbreak, but behind the lockdown. It takes 2 or 3 months to grow. The Dutch, about the cannabis, okay. 2 weeks ago, Bozo should have a lockdown, but instead all the ignorant 25-year-olds are going out to the gym. Yeah. Max, we're told the NHS CF19 staff tests are 2 to 3 weeks away. Still another 2 or 3 weeks. Magnificent bar steward. It should be happening today, not 2 weeks' time. Testing as many people as possible now. When do you think the UK will go into full lockdown? I would say in a week. I'd say what'll happen now is the first lockdown will take place. The numbers will continue to rise. And if the numbers dramatically rise, I'd say within a week, there will be probably a full lockdown. Now, I don't know. That would be a reasonable response, I think. But it depends on Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson may be more gun ho, and he may say, "No, we'll be okay. There's no need to do a full lockdown." But in Italy, it happened very quickly. We went from in a matter of days, just a couple of days, really, 2 or 3, maybe 4 days. We went from Lombardy being locked down to all of Italy being locked. There was first Lombardy and a few provinces. The one I live in, and then I think it was less than a week. The entire country was locked down. Eurovision Song Contest has been cancelled. Shame. We might have won this year. Not. Is it possible to give minus points? My Lovely Horse, that would have... They should bring that one back. That would win Eurovision. Sorry, the press took words out of his panic drinking. The antibody test could be a game changer, but we haven't seen any tests. We haven't seen any rollout of it. Stop lumping all the NHS trusts as one. Scotland are testing key workers. It's the rest that have dropped the ball. In Northern Ireland, they haven't been testing any, as far as I know. And England, no. Wales, I don't know. Scotland is acting differently. But there was another graph I wanted to show you. Let me see if I can find it. I think here it is, yes. So it says next Friday, well that's today, yesterday, depending where you are, update on our coronavirus mortality trajectories tracker. So Italy has the highest single day death toll of any country today at 627. I think yesterday or the day before this graph was produced, it was 400 and something. So it's increased by 200. So I imagine on Saturday it's probably going to be about 700 and something, Sunday 800 and something, or maybe 900, and then by Monday it's probably going to be over 1,000, unless things change. UK still on steeper mortality curve than Italy as Britain begins lockdown too late. So we can see here we have a list of countries here. Italy and Spain are increasing much more rapidly than did in China. So we have the black one, which is Italy. Large elderly population raises death rate. Compare it to, for example, Switzerland, the Netherlands, but you see here the UK is on a steeper trajectory than Italy, so it's way out here, somewhat similar to Spain, but Spain is running away with itself. It's going to be a long time, I think, before Italy is able to, if this comes out this way, let's say 35, we're talking about maybe 4,000 or 5,000 deaths at that stage. Is it possible that a graph could just suddenly drop? I don't know, but let me see what you guys have to say. Do you think that the UK will be the last in the queue if it's the EU that's developed a vaccine? I really hope not. But if the EU developed a vaccine, I think they would. I guess they would have to prioritize EU countries first. But I think they would prioritize Italy, Spain, and then the UK, because they would be the hardest hit. I don't think they're going to exclude the UK. That would be extremely bad. Congrats on taking the lead on the death rates. Always believe in you. My ex is a nurse in St. Peter's in Surrey. She says that the people working in the wards designated for COVID are now left without masks. Also, a makeshift morgue has been set up in the parking lot. I heard about people stealing masks from people stealing hand sanitizer from one of the NHS hospitals. I would guillotine these people, okay? Really. Good night, Davide. Ciao. Buona serata. Buonanotte. It's very late here. I heard Italy's death rate would peak today or tomorrow. If we look at that graph, it doesn't look like it's going to peak, does it? It doesn't look like I'm not a mathematician, as you guys know, but if it's going to peak like China, it's going to have to continue up here somewhere. And what is this? This is 2,000, 3,000. Is it 10,000? I don't know where Italy's would peak at. 10,000? I don't think there's also the risk that the healthcare system would collapse before it peaks. Slightly morbid question: what are they doing with the bodies in it? They are cremating them. They're not able to have funerals. People are not able to see the dead. They're cremating, and the crematoria are running 24/7. The military are involved, and they're taking bodies out of the main areas in Milan and Bergamo, which is near Milan, and they're mass graves. I don't know about mass graves, but I know about mass cremation. But they're cremating as crematoria are running 24/7 as far as I know, and the military involved are involved with trucks to take them out. If imagine 600 per day, and then you think, okay, we've struggled with 600, then the next day it's 700. Unbelievable. It's a logistics nightmare. And of course, you can't, it's not just you pile them up. They have to be, anyone who touches any of the corpses has to be, they need to be sanitized. One area, they have 120 deaths a month, but due to the virus they had over 600. They caught some guy in Thailand selling thousands of used face masks. So the graph doesn't peak. Have you seen looting in London and France? I haven't seen any looting. Max, it's very sad. Something I try to tell people was to remember. You see people wearing masks, wearing suits. You have to remember it's also a person behind that. It's a doctor or nurse. Many of them are made of steel, but they're not made of stone. They're not machines. They're people inside. They're more used to death than we are, but they're still people, and we have to remember that. And I saw some very terrifying pictures and very sad pictures of doctors breaking down. You working in their 8-9 hours shifts. Some of the doctors said that they don't even finish the shift when they don't even have shifts anymore. They just go in and stay there as long as they can, and then they take a break, and then they're back in again. They sleep in the hospital, and some of them can't even go back to see their families because there's a risk that they would spread it to their families. It's desperate, and that's why it's so important that wherever you are, that the staff that are in your country, they get whatever they need to deal with this. They get all the protective gear that they need. They get all the tests that they need. That the government doesn't, consider cost at all, because this has to be dealt with. We can't just let it run away with itself. A lot of them doing 17 hours a day. They're the real heroes, and all they're asking from us is just don't go out, don't go to the pub, don't go to the gym, don't go to the restaurant. That's all they're asking. It's not a huge sacrifice for us. I get a bit cranky here, stuck at home for all the time, but I'd gladly take sitting at home than up to my eyes in virus in a hospital, with the stressful situation of that, with the workload, the stress load. I don't know how they do it. No looting in France. Supermarkets are full. So I'm going to give the stream another 5 minutes, guys, and then I'll have to log off. Kim, I'm 1 week into fever. I'm starting to feel a bit better. Good, that's good. But stay safe. We cry a lot for each other, for each loss, yes. I hope they can test me for antibodies so I can work. You're a great person to go, to go and work after that. Stay safe, and all the best. Take care of yourself. In Germany, supplies get critical. Masks for health workers are expected to run out in 2 or 3 weeks. Surely there must be factories that can make these masks. No looting in the UK. All the shops are already empty. Guillotines still sounds like a joke, but I'm not sure it'll be joking in months. 52 years old, I was a medic in a medevac. We had to work 12 hours a day. Jeff Taylor's quiet these days. Maybe he's self-isolating. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss, for the link. Panic buying and bulk buying, legal looting. How are the police dealing with the people that they know? They know them that beat up women, men, or children. Working at the YMCA, I know how vulnerable people can be. I don't know what the police are doing at the moment. As far as I know, the police are just monitoring movements. So I don't know if they're actually fighting crime or dealing with crime. Although I think crimes have actually gone down. I haven't seen any statistics about that, but I think because so many people are staying home, and a lot of burglaries have stopped, because if people are in their homes, they're not likely to be burgled. But I imagine crime has gone down, and also shops or whatever are shut, so there's not going to be any shoplifting. The problem is that some parts for the masks come from China. Surely we can make masks here. It's not rocket science. It all shows how much we take for granted. Yes, the NHS has to be protected. The NHS must be protected. Is the front line, the vanguard. It's the vanguard against this virus. It has to be protected. The staff have to be protected. They must be given everything they possibly want and need. Reese Dog says, and a donation of just £5 can buy Max a new thong. Oh my god. I'm feeling guilty now, and the more you say this, the more guilt I feel, and I eventually will have to do this damn calendar. We can mobilize in no time for wars, but when it comes to when it's this, we appear to be useless. How can we expect NHS workers to step forward with inadequate personal protection equipment? They should go on strike, but then they're not going to. I don't think they can go on strike, and it probably would be counterproductive, because the government would say, "Look, they're going on strike when we need them. They're abandoning the people," so it probably wouldn't be. But they're caught between a rock and a hard place. But there needs to be pressure on government to make sure that they have everything that they need. Might be a kick in the arse for the Tories. Needs to start actually support the NHS throughout the UK. Who will be the first world leader to get it? I actually thought Trump may have had it, but he's not showing any symptoms yet. So, and if he did have it, he'd be treated immediately, of course. Maybe Bolsonaro. I'm surprised Boris doesn't have it either, but I guess it's still early. Here, supermarkets called Mercadona run out of food almost every day, while Spar, Lidl and Hyperdino are fully supplied with everything. So Mercadona is doing something wrong. Yes. Where is that? Is it in Spain? Hyperdino, I imagine that's in Spain. Boris, get it done. There's no protection for cleaners, admin, reception, etc. Yeah, we think of nurses, but we don't think of cleaners who are going in there and cleaning, after interventions or whatever. So they need to be protected also. We thought of these, not you guys, but some people thought of them as low skilled, not important workers, but now we see how important they are. Trudeau's wife got it? Yeah, I think she did, but she tested positive because she was in contact with somebody who had it. So it was I don't know if she tested positive, but she was tested for it. And then while she was waiting for the test results, I think her husband, the PM, also self-isolated. How many deaths in Italy are old people? I heard it's like 90%. I don't think it's as high as 90%. I think it's a bit lower than 90%. But it's actually decreasing as far as I know all the time, because younger people are also getting it. So they're lowering the percentage. But it is mainly older people, yes. But it's not only very old people. There are cases of people in their 40s. Can't the Tories outsource the virus? Do something else. Trump appears to be getting darker shades of orange. Is that a symptom? No, unfortunately, I don't think so. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. You're a star. Trudeau's wife got it from one of the other Aussie members, Peter Dutton. Perhaps the other way around. Tories outsource it. There's audio now on Senator Burr warning donors about COVID while publicly downplaying it. That was disgusting. And I'm glad that there are actually members of Fox News who are asking for him to resign. I think it's Tucker Carlson. I don't agree with Tucker Carlson, but if he's asking for Richard Burr to resign, then that's good. I always confuse Richard Burr with, what was the name? Who was a Perry Mason? Was it not Perry Mason? There was a. Anyway. Good night, Mark Franks. Have a good evening. Good night, wherever you are. People always tell me at the beginning of the stream where they're from, and then I forget. I'm getting old. I heard in Italy that there's a lot of doctors have died. Is that true? Yes, a lot of doctors. My father-in-law is a local GP, and he's close to retirement, and he's been asked to fill in for a nursing home. And he's a bit worried about that because the nursing homes normally don't have a lot of protections because they're privately owned and they're run for profit, and they don't really care about their staff. But they always need to have a number of doctors available. And he's worried about being called in because the younger doctors have been called away to help out in the hospitals. Because there are doctors dying, doctors are getting sick and dying, and the doctors in Milan are treating some of their own colleagues. I can't imagine what that's like. I feel sorry for Fassi. He clearly has to placate Trump so he can keep his job and continue to help people. He did a facepalm today when Trump said deep state. I know, I would hope that somebody would just grab the microphone from Donald Trump and say, look, he's telling me lies. This is a lot worse than he's saying. But they probably realize, look, if I did that, I'd be fired. And then he'd just put someone, a yes man in charge instead, and they would just do whatever Trump wants, and things would get worse. Bergamo is not the epicenter. The epicenter is Codovado, I think is the name. It's a small town near Bergamo, but Bergamo is where the airport is. So there's an airport in Bergamo. That's where a lot of the people were flying into Bergamo, and then going out to this small town. Codovado, I think, I can't remember the name, and that's where it started from. See, there's a lot of, I don't know if you were here before, but I said that a lot of Italian businesses have trade with China. So there are a lot of Italians traveling over and back between Italy and China all the time. And it's likely that some of them brought that back. You know, people are saying the Chinese, but it's, I don't know if it's the Chinese that brought it over, but it's highly likely it's the Italians themselves that brought it over, the ones who went to China. Is it the elders dying due to multi-close household? That's an aspect of it, yes. So here in Italy, it's very common that parents, their children, and their grandparents, and the children's grandparents, obviously, live in the same apartment block because it's convenient. You know, if you have children and you work, instead of having to take your children far away to your grandparents to look after them for the day, many cases you just ring the doorbell downstairs and you leave the kids there. It's not always the case, but a lot of people are like that. Good night, David. Have a nice evening or night. So this is one of the reasons why there's a lot of infection between family members. Is something similar in China. So there's a similar situation in China, which I was saying earlier is I don't think is such a problem in the UK. But on the other hand, in the UK, people move around a lot more. There's a lot more commuting taking place. So this is going to be, a positive and a negative in the control of the virus. So in Italy, it's a problem that, people transfer it to their parents and grandparents. While I think in the UK, the other problem is that it's spread through commuting. Many people live outside London but work in the centre or work in London, and they're likely to spread it. I saw a photo today of the tube full of people today. How much longer should Bernie? Bernie should have I predicted that Bernie would have dropped out about a week ago, but he's still there, and I don't know why he's still there, unless he's attempting to influence the party some way or influence Joe Biden some way, which could be a positive thing. He's saying, look, I am not going to win, but I want Joe Biden to do things for the people. That's a good, honourable stance to take. It's not I want to get something for myself out of it. Theo Usherwood, I read about him being tested. Do you know, Jeremy, if he has, if he's positive or negative? I hope he's negative. You see how it can affect everyone and anyone. Sean Hannity is getting orange like Trump too. It's amazing. Don't forget to like before you go. Thank you very much, Sir Antonius. Yes. Good evening, Cron. Girocron. It's bad in the UK as we appear to like close queuing. I saw a video of that as well. I couldn't understand close queuing. So there were people queuing to get out of the supermarket. And then people were fighting over each other to get out as well. Hello there, I'm Jeff Taylor, and the virus is caused by room owners. Yes, hit the like button, smash the like button. Swimming in the crystal clear waters of the Venice canals. I saw a beautiful video of swans and ducks in the canals of Venice, which I don't think I've ever been there. So that's nice. I hope it's going to remain somewhat like that. That it's not just going to turn back to mass pollution and crowds once again. Because we've lost something, of course, but I think it's important to value also, nature, the way that it's returning. We shouldn't destroy it again. Did you see David Pakman's video on the state of the race? Very impressive. I think Kyle's coverage is rapidly declining in quality by comparison. I haven't been watching David Pakman for a while. I haven't been really watching Kyle Kalinske either. Kyle, I think, is losing it. He has invested so much in Bernie Sanders, and now Bernie is pretty much out. So I don't know what he's going to do. He still has something like 800,000 subscribers, so I think he's still doing all right. But the wind has been taken out of his sails. I think declining. Haven't watched him in a while, but why is it not as good? I went to the pharmacy today and they had strict measures to be 6 foot away from each other in the queue. That's good to have. Just looking at the betting, Trump is in second place in the betting from this week. He's always been first place. That's interesting, QA library. I imagine this virus would be helping Trump, but I think it's probably different compared to the UK because the states are worried. So unless Donald Trump really takes command of the situation, he's going to suffer. But I think it's still early days. But as I said before, during a crisis, people normally rally around the leader. So there's a chance that this could actually work out well for Trump, unfortunately. Love listening to you live. Great, Alex. You remind me of John Peel. Must be your calm voice. Thank you. I try to remain calm. It's not always possible. This makes me think about Gaia theory again, about the Earth being a self-cleansing system. Yeah, I think you don't need to be a hippie or anything, but you have to look at, we can't continue the way we're going. We're close to 9 billion, or maybe we've already passed 9 billion people on the planet. And we're using up resources like there's no tomorrow, and we can't continue that way. And this is in a way us pushing the Earth too far, and the Earth reacting in a way. And this is going to probably become more common, actually. And I'm afraid that what's going to happen is a few months after this has eventually disappeared, we'll return to our normal way of thinking again, where, okay, we've overcome the virus, we don't have to think about it again. Do we need more ventilator? Oh no, we don't need to invest in ventilator or anything like that anymore. We have to forget about that and move on, and then we won't be prepared for the next one. It's Trump calling it the Chinese virus. It's not racist enough for his base. Like the Spanish flu, many people think the Spanish flu was from Spain. No, it's because Spain was the only country in Europe, or maybe in the world actually, that actually produced results or released the results and didn't suppress the results through nationalistic propaganda. And and therefore, as they were open and their numbers were bigger, people were pointing the finger and say, "Oh, it's the Spanish. That's where the problem is." But it was them being actually more transparent than the rest of us that they got the blame for it. Trump wasted valuable time. They had 6 weeks to be prepared, but he just brushed it all aside. Brushed it off while the virus was clearly spreading around already in America. Yeah, double guitars. I don't know if you were on. I was saying that there's a risk in California that half the population, 25 million people, could be infected. Now, I don't think there are 25 million ventilators, or how many staff, if there's like 3 staff or 4 staff per ventilator necessary. I don't think they have the numbers in the United States itself to deal with all the infected in California. And you still have people going to Florida on spring break. You know, I was saying at the beginning, are there any figures on the pollution levels since the lockdown? QA Library posted to me the other day about the pollution levels are way down. I think it was QA Library. I apologize if it wasn't you. Max, do you prefer demented Biden over Trump? I don't know who's worse. Neither. Joe Biden has dementia.